Hello, welcome back to my channel. I have a tag video to share with you. Lula LV has created her very first tag. I love her channel. She has so much good information on Louis Vuitton and a bunch of other brands, so I definitely recommend checking her out, and I'll have her video linked below. So she tagged me to share my most and least complimented handbags. Now, of course, we are not buying these things for compliments. We all know that, but they feel good, okay? Let's not kid ourselves. It feels great when you're really excited about a bag or like any part of your outfit. I mean, this is because I like fashion, of course, but it feels great when someone is also really excited about a piece that you've chosen to express yourself. So I have a bunch of handbags. I probably picked too many, but I do have some stories to share with them. And I really love how Lula also had some stories attached to hers for like her most complimented handbags and some ideas on maybe why some of them aren't so complimented. So let's get into it. Okay, where to start? Okay, I'm gonna start out with the one that is, I don't want to say most important to me, but it's definitely the one that has the most meaningful story. And if you're new to my channel, I want to share this anyway because it relates to why I chose TrainGirl.Meghan. So here I have my Ferragamo box bag. I really, really adore this bag. It is the most beautiful green. And the funny thing is, I get so many compliments on this bag from friends who are not into fashion. None of my in-person, like real life friends, people who've known me long before I started doing YouTube, they have often complimented this bag and they have no idea it's designer. I mean, there's really nothing about this that would give it away. Ferragamo is in teeny, teeny, tiny little cursive right along there. The reason this bag has a very special story is because, if you don't know, I used to be a weekend commuter. That's where the whole train girl thing came from. I would take 5-6 hour train rides at the beginning of the week and do my work and then go home to be with my husband and my kitties at the very end of the week. And on these long train rides, if you've done this before, you know people are just kind of in their own zone. They're in their own space for these long things. Like, you're often sitting next to someone, in the aisle and then the window. But sometimes I would get talking with people and it was always because of a fashion piece I was wearing. One day I was carrying this bag and I sat next to a really wonderful girl, Caroline, and she complimented it. It then led to a 3-4 hour conversation until she got off at her stop. I was going just a little bit further, but that sparked a friendship. And when we were kind of like getting to that point where her stop was coming up, it was like, do you wanna exchange numbers? Is that cool? Can we do that? Because it was just chemistry. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but when you just click and you keep talking and it's easy, like it was great. I really loved meeting her, and it was because of this bag. It was because we both were really excited about fashion, but that just opened the door. We ended up having so many things in common, and we ended up talking about our careers and just everything from the big stuff to like little TV shows and things we enjoyed. So that is, what was I gonna say? Oh, when she was putting my name in her phone, she had in the nickname Train Girl to remind her, like, how on earth did I meet this person? Who is this Meghan character in my phone? And I took that Train Girl.Meghan and created this channel because it reminded me of how much fashion brings us together, and that's what I think of when talking about like my most complimented handbags. Okay, that was the one with the story. So moving right along, I also have my Dior bag. Now this is really different to the Ferragamo in that it has a lot of different detail. However, I think the Dior part of it is actually really subtle because it gets lost in this sea of print and texture. Most people see this and they'll compliment just like the intricate beading because it's quite unusual to see a bag with this much beading typically walking around. I mean, and I live in the suburbs, but even in New York, most of the bags I see are leather, cotton, or canvas, and this is a little bit more detailed. So I really enjoy taking this out, especially if I go into a Dior boutique. This gets lots and lots of compliments. Oh, I've also been into other boutiques where the SAs have previously worked at Dior and they're like, oh my gosh, I remember when that bag came out, and they were very excited by it. But these are just my most complimented handbags, like out in the real world, not on Instagram or YouTube where we specifically seek this stuff out. Another one, this is very much like the Ferragamo bag where it's really understated, but it gets tons of compliments. And I think there's a connection between that. I have noticed people seem more comfortable talking to me about this. I don't know if that's gonna make sense, but hopefully it will when I get into my least complimented handbags. Mark Cross, the Grace bag, it's just gorgeous. It's very simple, but really elegant. It has the shiny gold hardware. I think green is kind of an unusual color also. You don't see it as much. Typically you see black, tan, brown, all those kind of neutrals. But this is a really beautiful forest green and I think a great neutral. Moving along, let's see. I only have 2 more to share with you. This is another of my most complimented handbags. People will often ask me if it is a Christian Dior bag. The people who are complimenting me, again, they are not really into fashion. My friends have often complimented this. They have no idea it's designer. More of them, so since I've started doing YouTube, they've come to understand that I'm really into this kind of stuff. So they'll kind of piece it together now, but without this ribbon, I think most people would have no idea what this bag is, or if it's designer, I should say. People ask me if it's Christian Dior, of course I tell them it's not, and I would like to get a neutral twilly to put around this handle to not mistake it, because Valextra is fantastic, and I do sometimes wonder if there are people who see it, like it, of course don't talk to me about it, and then just assume it's a Christian Dior bag. Not that it really matters, but I really love Valextra, so I want them to stand on their own. But going to the last one, it has to be Little Birdie here. I adore this tiny little pocket bag from Loewe. It only holds, of course, a phone and keys, card holder, but it really, I'm gonna say it, it packs a punch, okay? It just does. It is an adorable elephant and it's green, because I think if you're gonna have an elephant bag, it should be a standout color. I was a little bit disappointed with Loewe when they, for Lunar New Year this year, they had bunnies and they had a great opportunity to have some really adorable, brightly colored bunnies, but they went with very like soft pinks and gray, and while they're very pretty, it's not what I want from a leather bunny. I mean, I don't know how much I could want from a leather bunny, but I would have preferred brighter colors, and then I definitely would have bought one Loewe in case you're listening. I'm sure they did just fine, but I really adore this bag and it often gets attention. There was one time, okay, I love it when little kids notice my clothes and are like mesmerized by it. Just like, I dress for children apparently, and it makes me really happy. There was this one little girl, I was in the grocery store, and this one little girl literally started to walk backwards. She was holding her mom's hand and just kind of like, wow. Like mesmerized with my outfit and just staring at this bag. She was so cute. And I think it's just because it's weird, and that's fine because I'm a little weird. But these are my most complimented handbags. I think that they're definitely on the unusual side. They're an unusual color. I mean this, let me see. So these, you can see they're kind of similar in shape, but they're just really elegant and neutral, and I think that's why my friends have noticed them so much, because they're pretty subdued, they're pretty chill in their fashion, but they like quality pieces, and so they see those and they're immediately like, these are beautiful because the quality is so obvious. So let's get into my least compliment. Oh no, wait, no, I forgot one. See, I've been talking too much. I forgot one. I'm just gonna throw this in real quick because I wasn't sure if I wanted to include it because it is so new, but I wear this Benedetta, I'm sorry, I need more coffee. Something, I'll have it across the screen, but I've worn this a couple times. I've only worn it casually running errands, and I think that really surprises people, so it gets a lot of attention. It's not something you expect to see. It gets a lot of attention, and I really enjoy sharing that joy with people. Like when I'm checking out, especially at a store, people will stop and ask me what it is, and they're just happy with the sparkles as much as I am. So just wanted to throw that one in there. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include it because it is a newer purchase. However, consistently, every time I wear it out, I get in a conversation with someone, and I really love that. Lula, I don't know if you intended me to talk so long about my most complimented handbags, but I am now moving into my least complimented handbags. These are really interesting to me. So starting out, I have this Christian Dior clutch. It normally has the metal handle, but I also wear it with the Christian Dior guitar strap, and this never ever gets compliments, whether I'm wearing it with the handle or the crossbody strap. Of course, the guitar strap has Christian Dior, and it's pretty noticeable. I would say even when I'm wearing it crossbody, even though the words are going across my shoulder, that is definitely noticeable. And the Chat Dior in big gold chunky lettering across the top is probably more understated because it might be partly covered by my hand, but if someone pays attention to bags, they would know it's a Christian Dior bag. However, maybe it's just because it's black and so it doesn't draw the eye the same way like the sparkly bags do. But I've noticed when I wear the guitar strap, people will sometimes look at it. They'll look directly at it, not at me, at the bag, but they'll never ever say anything. Another one where I have the exact, what am I saying? I have the exact same experience with pretty much all these bags. Here we have the Chanel 19. I love this bag and it gets a lot of compliments online, which again, feels great. I really appreciate it. You know, I love that we're all sharing our excitement for this stuff. And it gets looked at a lot when I go out and about. However, no one has ever said anything to me when I've been out. And I'm gonna just show you real quick right now the other ones. I also brought out my mini Chanel reissue and my white classic flap. I have additional thoughts on this one, so I will get back to that. But now that you see the idea, so we have the black Christian Dior, the black mini reissue. This is a dark color, and maybe with the mini reissue, it might just not get noticed because it's black. It's not a bright standout color that draws the eye. But I wonder if it also is a little bit because of Chanel. With the 19, people will stare directly at it for a noticeable amount of time. I'm sure they don't know that I notice them staring, and I don't mind. I think people are naturally curious. That helped us evolve. I'm into it. I'm very curious myself, so I don't mind the staring. But people will look directly at it for a noticeable amount of time and never ever say anything about it. Certainly never compliment it. And I think Chanel kind of turns off a lot of people, especially if they're not into luxury goods. This is just my hypothesis. I sometimes wonder if Chanel carries too many negative stereotypes, connotations. I think when people who aren't into luxury but recognize luxury, because you know it's like a subset, I think they don't always assume the best of the people wearing it. I don't want to end this on a negative note or like talk about judgment or any of that, but sometimes I do wonder if they see that big Chanel logo and just immediately think like, wow, that's a really expensive handbag. This person must be really vain, or I don't know. But I noticed that it gets stared at a lot. I wanted to bring out the white Chanel bag because the only people who have ever complimented me on this are Nordstrom employees. Sometimes when I go to my local Nordstrom, of course I'll be browsing, I'll be trying some things on. If I carry this bag, me saying this, it might seem odd that I put this into this category, but without fail, Nordstrom employees will compliment this handbag. They'll say how beautiful it is. Oh my gosh, we love your Chanel. And I don't get that from them with any other handbag. Even my most complimented handbags that I've gone through, where a ton of strangers will end up starting long conversations with me, sparked, you know, because like the opening to talk was through that handbag. But every single time I wear this to Nordstrom, or sometimes my mini reissue, but more this, I will get a compliment from a Nordstrom employee. And sometimes I wonder if, again, they're making an association in their mind between Chanel and the people who wear Chanel. I sometimes wonder if they're complimenting it because they think I want compliments on my bag. And of course they're there to sell something and make me feel good, and if I feel good, I'm more likely to spend money. Like, does that make sense? Am I thinking too hard about this? I am not a pessimistic person. I don't believe I assume the worst in people in general as a rule, but I have noticed such a strong trend with this bag that's my hypothesis. I'm wondering if that's why this bag only gets compliments from Nordstrom essays. No person on the street, out and about, on a train, has ever complimented one of these Chanel bags or my Christian Dior bag. So anyway, this was my roundup. As I said, I'll have Lula LV's video link below. Thank you so much for tagging me. I'll tag a few people in my description box. I would love to see your pics. I'm really curious. Gwenny, you already know I am tagging you. I'm sorry if I've tagged anyone in double time, but it's just because we really want to know what you think. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Okie dokie. Birdie, we've got this. You've received lots of compliments and the world needs to know. Yeah.